Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to this our boot camp. Tonight we are going to start learning about SQL. Data querying and data manipulation using SQL. So, without wasting time, let's dive in. Have you start seeing my screen?
Yes, sir, I can see.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can see your screen, sir.
Okay. We are going to start from the beginning, from the basics in SQL, because I don't know, some of us might be using SQL. If this is the first time of you hearing SQL, no problem. We'll have to provide a short definition before we start firing. So what is SQL? SQL. So it's structured query language. I think I'm hearing someone from background. Please put yourself on mute.
It's different, sir, please.
From your background. So if you have been following some of my bootcamp, like for instance in business analysis, I keep on telling you that we have language for business analysis, which is when we talk about UML, Unified Modeling Language. But when it comes to data analysis, SQL is very common within data analysis, a very common language. So all these are languages. And if you understand the language very well, you can then use the language to communicate, and it will make life easy. It's a language we use to query a database, relational database. This is the language. If you use ordinary language or use the common English grammar, this kind of structure to query that database, you are not going to get any response because you are not speaking the language they are understanding. But once you start using SQL to query these databases, they will start responding, they'll start giving you answer, they'll start doing everything you want them to do. So it's structured query language, is standard programming language specifically designed for managing and manipulating relational database. It's used to interact with database by retrieving, inserting, updating, and deleting data. So you see, this is a very powerful tool. Where is all this data we are talking about? All this data, they are stored in a database. And the only way we can bring out information out of this database is through this SQL. So you can use, you see number one here, you say we can use this SQL to retrieve information. We can use it to insert information or data into the database. Even if we already have this information, we can use it to update information in the database. We can equally use it, like the information we can equally use it for deleting data from the database. Is an ANSI, American National Standard Institute standard, but has several dialects. Dialects like MySQL, PostgreSQL, and SQL Server. So these are other types of databases where you can use this SQL. SQL can be used in any of all these and other databases. But that is the simplest definition of SQL. So if you're trying to understand SQL, that's it. This is the main purpose of SQL. I will highlight it here. So, and that's where what we'll be trying to expand to see how all this works. So, and again, managing and manipulating databases, not just databases, but relational database, because have other databases, for instance, non-relational databases. Example of a non-relational database is Firebase. You know Firebase? Some of us are into IT, you know, it's owned by Google Firebase. So this is most of all these social networks, they use different servers at some point, like the main social media applications. What would they use? Different database. The kind of database they use is different from this relational database. They use non-relational database where all these posts, we are making posts, we'll do this, we send videos, all this unstructured data, that is where they go. You know, this Firebase on relational data, unstructured. For structured data, they go to SQL relational, no, not SQL, they go to relational database like SQLite. There are so many of them, Postgres, MongoDB, and the rest of them. This Microsoft servers. So even this MySQL, PostgreSQL, these are databases where all these relational databases are into. So at the end, we are going to install one SQL server we are going to be using for practice, because this is not just theoretical, it's practical oriented. So after tomorrow, we might be doing the installation. I just say let's use today to do the basic introduction about SQL. Why learn SQL? Number one, data management. SQL is the primary language used to manage data across industries. Most of the industry, just these days that we started having social media platform that uses unstructured data. Unstructured data, that means that you can just post anything. The data information, they're all data. All these things you post, they store them somewhere. So before the advent of social media, where we use now a lot of unstructured, we have a lot of unstructured data. Before, it's all about relational database, structured data, tables, you know, but this is the most, up to today, most industries, they use SQL because most of the databases across the industry is relational database. Okay, data analysis. Data analysts use SQL to query and retrieve specific data for reporting and analysis. Versatile skill. Knowledge of SQL is valuable across various fields, including we have different data set like financial data set, marketing, healthcare. There's a lot of data types of data sets within industries, and all the only tool, only language you can use to query, to retrieve, manage all this information or data within the database is SQL. There's no other one outside the SQL. And in demand, SQL is one of the top skill required in data-centric role like data analyst, data scientist, and the business intelligence role is highly in demand. So you cannot say you are a data analyst, a data scientist, and you don't have good knowledge, or good, not just good knowledge, good hands-on, good hands-on on SQL. You must have good hands-on SQL for you to call yourself a data analyst. You know, you can navigate and escape a spreadsheet because so many companies the usage but SQL, how are you going to run away from that? You cannot. The business, as a data analyst, you cannot run away from SQL, and that's why it's highly in demand. It's in demand because there's fear. A lot of people fear because once you see coding, or people tend to have this phobia for things like SQL or Kahoot. But I want you to see it as a trade. It's not so difficult, or it's the way we are scared of it. Is maybe some other thing that have been making it so scary is the manner of teaching. But you see all this, they are not. Let me tell you the reason why these skills like SQL, you see, they are not too difficult if you really want to grasp it and become a professional. You see trade like tailoring. You see trade like shoemaking. I want to use these two trades as an example. You see people do not go to people that don't go to secondary school, high school, they can come out and learn a trade like tailoring, shoemaking. But do you think this something like SQL or this coding is more, technical? They are not. But the only difference that these people pay extreme attention. They take their time to learn the trade. But some of us, we don't pay attention. We don't take our time to learn some of these. These are basic skills. You see somebody who didn't have any background in university level, but they learn tailoring very well, and they become, one, they sew cloth. They have to cut this cloth. They have to do a lot of weaving. They have to do, they have to do measurements. They measure different areas, and they come out, they weave it together. Not that they is weaved together, but it looks beautiful after stitching it together. Choose the same thing. And people that are doing all these things do not go to high school. So many of them do not go to high school, talk more of university. So this is equally a trade. All these things we are teaching here is a trade. It's also for you to learn it basically. Use the mind they are using to learn it, learn all these basic trade, and that's it. Okay, let's crack on. And that's a bit of deviation, but it's important. Okay. Now we've seen the importance of SQL. That's why we learn SQL. Let's see types of SQL command. We have different types of SQL command, and we have them into groups or into categories, categorize them into different groups. So while I do this, is going to help you to understand it very well and where to apply it, seeing that it's grouped. Okay, under SQL grouping or category, number one here is data definition language. This is the group here. We have under data definition language, you have some command we can use here. Some of this, the purpose is for define structure of database. So you see data definition language. You see here, define the structure of database. This is the time you are building a database, because this database, you are going to see it very soon. When we download this server or database, first we'll download a server. Once you download the server, you create a database. You can create as so many databases as you want, and within the database, you can equally create a table. So these are some of the syntax or command we are going to use to create some of these databases, create tables. This. So the purpose is to define the structure of the database. And the key command here is create. You can use create to say create a new database or table. Once you write on the SQL editor and run it, is going to go to your server and create a database for you or create a table. So this is what this creates. This, we're going to talk about it equally, is case insensitive, but the rule or the best practice is to use capital letter, but it's case insensitive. Okay, another command is alter. When you create a database, you can modify it the way you want. So if you're looking at it, alter means modify an existing object, database object, like adding column to a table, or so is the language you are going to use to modify an existing database. And then you see drop. If you want to drop, all you need to is, you want to delete a table or a database, if you type delete table, it's not going to work. All you need to do is use this command called drop, and it's going to go to a server and delete a database, or go to a database and delete a table. So that is it. That is number one. We call it data definition language. You see, we are grouping command for database. Now we have another command, another category, another group. Under this group, we call them data manipulation language. Can you see the difference between the data definition and data manipulation? Data definition group, you use it to create the structure. But when the structure is there, it's time for manipulation, mainly manipulation. We use data manipulation language. The purpose is manipulate data within database table. These are the key commands involved. Number one is select. When you say select, it means retrieve data from one or more table. You say select from, you write the name of the table. Anything you want to select, anything you want to retrieve, a record you want to retrieve, we use select to retrieve that amount of information you are looking for. That data, you retrieve it. And then if you want to insert more data into a record, into a table, you can use insert. So, for instance, in my database, maybe someone paid for this boot camp, and I already have list of people, list of you that paid for this boot camp, and another person joined, and I want to insert the person, I want to add the person to into the database. If I don't want to go to my website from the front end or go to the back end of immediate back end of my website to do that, if I want to do it directly from the database, if I want to create your record from the database, not going through the website, all I need to do is I will use insert. So add new record to a table, So if it's Charles Okoye, I will use this to insert Charles record in the existing through the database using SQL. So update, modify existing table. If I want to, so like for instance, there is a table we want to add the names and the surname and date of birth, and I didn't add maybe phone number, or I didn't add email. I can use this to update existing record, adding more data within the table. Then if I want to delete record in a table, I use delete. So now I want you to see, because some of us might see confusion here, remove record from a table. And then if you want to delete a table or a database, you use drop. So I want you to note this key difference. This is, you are removing a table from a database, or you are removing a database from a server. You use drop. But if you want to manage record within a table, remove some record, like remove date of birth or column or within a table, all you need to do is use delete. You delete record in a table, can delete a column or a row. So you use, what you use is delete. One is you are manipulating the table. So you see here, manipulating database table. So that is the difference between drop and delete. If you use delete, if you want to use delete to delete a table or a database, is not going to work. All you need to do is use drop. But if you want to use drop to remove information from a table, is not going to work. So that's why you see this grouping is very important, so that you know the environment you are working on and know the kind of command or syntax you are going to be using. Here we have another one is data control language. A moment. Data control language. So data control language is to control access to data. So the command here is to, one, see here, grant, you granting access, granting privilege, give user specific privilege. This, as for instance, if you are the main data senior data analyst, and you have other data analysts working under you, and there is maybe you have sales, we have different data sets. You want to limit the access privileges people have within the various data. This will help for, accountability, audit, making sure that somebody who does not have access do not, you didn't grant access, cannot tamper with the data. Data is very, very sensitive globally, not just in this country. I'm not going to use in this country. Data is very, very important. It's very, very sensitive. And we know the people we grant access. Okay, in this country, before they can grant you access to some area, before they can even hire you as a data analyst in some areas, you must be a citizen. Like, for instance, no matter how good you are, like Ministry of Defense, for you to have, I have one of my students is now working as a senior data analyst with Ministry of Defense. Working with Ministry of Defense as a data analyst. I mentored this guy in business analysis 5 years ago. Then he didn't know anything about it, but the guy took off, from till then. But when I met the guy is already a PhD holder, but he couldn't break in, so that gave him the leverage. Got his first job at local government. Yeah, he got another job, where he is now currently as a senior data analyst. So the point I'm making here is that they cannot grant you access in so many areas, access to specific data sets. So this command is what we use to grant access. Grant access, privilege. And if we want to withdraw the privilege given to you, we use the word revoke, remove access privilege from user. Okay. Another group or another category is transaction control language. Transaction. Manage transaction within database. The keyword here is commit. Serves all changes made in the save all changes made within the transaction. Roll back, revert changes if an error occurs. Save point. Set a save point within a transaction. So this is the key command we are going to be using. So the point is that it's grouped this way, so you know where to use them, where they fall, and when to use them. So do we have to, I hope is making sense before I keep on fire. I hope is sinking.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's fire up then. Okay. SQL syntax and convention. Case sensitivity. SQL is case insensitive. SQL keywords like select, all these like syntax, they are case insensitive. But each standard is that we write them, when we say upper cases, you mean what we call upper cases. In a computer, we say upper cases. But outside IT, we say capital letters. So the standard is we use upper cases, which is capital letter, but it's case insensitive, meaning you can, even if you already select, if you use small letter to write them, the system will still understand. But while writing, this is the standard. Why is that way? I don't know. But this is this why the standard is capital letter, but still the system understands small letters, but that is the standard. That is the industrial standard. And then the use of semicolon when you are writing your syntax. Commands often ends with semicolon. You see it here. That's well. Instead of using full stop, we use semicolon, especially in certain databases, relational databases. Okay, comment. When we want to make a comment, we use this to for single comment. And once we want multiple comment, we can use this to asterisk. Once we put it, we make a comment. The purpose of the comment is that we can write something to remind ourselves what we are doing at this point, or what needs to be done, or what we don't need to forget, and it becomes part of our syntax. But this comment, once you use this type of command or to capture the comment, the system will not be able to read our comments. So our comment is made for us, not for the system. So we can equally write a syntax and write a comment. So the system will understand, we see the one we want the system to read, and then the one will capture with this comment command, the system will not be able to read them out. So that is the basic conventions within SQL syntax. So all these things, because we don't have a database already, we don't have a database, we don't have a server, we cannot do any query, so we have to just be reading it out for today. So by tomorrow, when we have when we start installing I believe everybody can. I don't think is a just a lightweight server we are going to install. So we should be able to do that. So by the time we install the server, all these things we are saying, we should be able to be start doing it practical. All these command we'll be talking about, we see how they are working. So let's look at basic SQL statements. The first is we're going to use select statement. So where do we say select fall in? Select fall into multi data manipulation language. So we'll use select to manipulate. So that is the select. So we're going to look at select for data manipulation. So the purpose is to retrieve data from one or more table. And this is how the syntax is going to look like. You say select, this is a column. This is the column where you want to column 1, column 2 from this table. So if there is 2 tables or 3 tables or if there is 4 columns in a table and we want to select only 2 tables, so it means that the info or the data or the record within these 2 columns, that is what is going to select. So we might want to select record from these 2 columns, names and their date of birth. We don't want to select column for email address. We don't want to select column for phone number. We just want the name. And so these are column. And the table can be employee table. So let's look at this is a product environment. The example we're going to use here is this is the table. The table here is product table. So under this product table, we can say select names, product names, and price from product table. So names and price, that's what we will have different products in a table, in this table. So we want to select the product names and price. That's what we want to select. Only the names and price, and then maybe we don't want to select. If there's other columns like region and the rest, we don't want to select them. We want to know only the product name and price. And once we do that, it's going to give us what we're looking for. So that's how we can use this select to query a database and get information or get the record we're looking for. Another example is where. The purpose is to filter the record to meet specific condition. Specific condition. In this, you say select from this table, select from this column, from table, where you put another condition. Okay. Looking at this example, say select from tables from employees where department is sales. So it's going to go to sales department, meaning that you don't want other department, you don't want marketing department, you don't want IT department, you don't want HR department. Select from employee where department is sales. So it's giving another condition, drilling down, filtering to specific information within the table. Then the third one is insert. Insert. So you can use this to add new record in a table. So this is only within a table. If coming down here, we say where we have insert. Insert is still within data manipulation. Mind you that if you want to create a table or a data, you don't use, what you use is create. So, but if you want to add new record, use insert, and this is data manipulation, not data definition. So we use insert. The purpose is to add new record to a table, insert into table, you put the table name, column 1 and column 2, values, value 1 and value 2. So it means that if you come to this table, go to this particular column, and within these particular columns, insert values within these columns. And if you come here in an example, you say insert into order. That is the table we are talking about, other tables. Others table, not other tables. Others table. So within this others table, we have order ID, and we'll have product ID, and we'll have quantity. So now, if you want to add, you see here, values 1, value 2, and value 3. So it will go into this column and add 1 under product ID, under product order ID, add value 1, and you add order ID, add 101, and under quantity, you add another 1 here, that is 5. So that's how you want to insert this value into these various columns. Okay, another one is update statement. Update is to modify existing record. For instance, if we have inserted this value into this table and within the column, and we want to kind of even modify, we use it to modify existing, that is update record. Update table B. Set column 1 equal to value 1 and column 2 equal to value 2, where condition. So It means that if you come to column 1, this value 1, this is what we are going to use to update. And if you come to column 2, this value is what we are going to use to update this table where there is condition. Okay. Now you see update employee. The table here is employee table. Employee, and set salary to 50,000, where employee ID is 2. So it means that the second employee in the table, this is where you want to update the salary. You want to update the salary information. It's either maybe there is no salary there, you didn't capture salary, or you made a mistake. So you can use this to modify information within the database. Why this is important is that so many informations, you cannot see them. They are there in the database, but you cannot see them. Some of this record, you can't see them. So this is the only way you can see them and update them. Okay. Deleting statement. The purpose is to remove record from a table. Delete from table this, put the table name where, put the condition. Example, delete from the customer table. The name of the table is customer table. So if you have a table for your customers, and from that table, you want to delete the customer ID. So the customer ID, which is number 10, you want to delete this customer from the table. And that's if maybe if you add the wrong customer, or there is a duplication or want to remove also, this this is what you use to delete the record from a table. So let's look at other SQL constraints or conditions. Constraints are rules applied to columns in a table to maintain accuracy and reliability of the data. So there's constraints. Okay, what this is like, if you remember when we're working with spreadsheet, we formatted some of the table can be formatted and format so that you cannot add some certain information. So it's just a condition to protect some record coming into our database. You can use SQL to set such constraints or conditions. For instance, we have primary key. This key ensures each record has a unique identifier. Then we have foreign key. Foreign key links a column to another table, another table's primary key. We have unique. This ensures that all values in a column are unique. Then you have not null. Prevent null value in a column. check, set condition on the value, allowing it in a column. Default, set a default value for a column when no value is specified. So this is kind of setting condition, formatting your database. So with this, the database will decide the kind of data they receive. If a data that doesn't conform to these constraints, any data that does not conform to these constraints or this condition will not be accepted within the table or within the table in the database. Then here is some functions, just like we have in spreadsheet. We have functions in spreadsheet, like you see aggregate function used to perform calculation on multiple rows. So you can equally use this with SQL within the SQL environment. You can use count, you can use sum, you can use average, you can use mean and mass. For instance, count, you see, count the number of rows. Sum, add up all the values. Average, calculate the average value. Mean and mass, find the smallest and the largest value. Example, select count. Average salary from employee and from employee table. So you want to select the average salary within the employee table. That's how we can use this. So some of these will be better understand when we are doing it practical. Then let's look at another command. Yes, join in SQL. Join allow you to combine data from two or more tables based on related column. So it means that we can combine information from two tables. Here we have inner join, left join, right join, or full join. Inner join means return record with matching value in both tables. So if we have all the matching record within the two tables, we can use inner join to return such values. Left join, return all record from the left tables and match record from the right table. Then here we have right join, return all record from the right table and match record from the left table. Full join, return all record when there is a match in either the left or the right table. And then the example here is select order ID customer ID from inner join customer on other ID, other ID equal to customer or customer ID. So these are where we start having it a bit advanced in SQL. These are a bit advanced aspects of it. Yeah. Well, this is where we are going to end it for tonight. In conclusion, SQL is a powerful tool for managing and analyzing data. Mastering SQL opens door for advanced analytics, data engineering, and data science role. So this is once you master all this, how to use all these command, all these syntax we've just listed here, then we'll have set a very good foundation for us in SQL. So I will try to break it down to a very basic way that even if we are starting SQL for the first time, we should be able to take something home from this introduction to SQL. And tomorrow, because all this is not something we just read, and it's something where, as we are reading it out here, we are performing it in a day in our server and in our editor. As we are doing it, we are performing it as well. So all this is something we need to be, all the command will be, as we are talking about the command, we are performing it. As we are talking about the syntax, we are performing them. But because we do not have a data, we don't have a database where we are going to do this, so we have to just list them. But it's good to know about them before we start going to do it practical. So as soon as we finish installing our database, then we proceed. So the database we are going to be installing is SQLite. So that is going to be our base, where we'll be working tomorrow, trying to download and install this and make sure that it's working on our system. So yeah, so if you have any question based on this introduction to SQL, you can, though we already have 9:30, have our time to ask some questions. Okay. Mr. Coker.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you for the explanations. I stepped out of the class for a bit, so I hope my question will not be me taking you back. I'm just trying to visualize all these things to help my understanding. If I understand correctly, are we going to be doing this at the back end and then be seeing a pictorial result of what we are doing? Is that how this works? Means that we are manipulating all this at the back end of the database. Then there's a picture that shows us what we are doing. Is that how it works?
Yes, the way it works is that we have what we call SQL editor. Yeah, do you get it? From your SQL editor, you'll be manipulating and you'll be seeing the results. You know, so the SQL editor is connected to the server, to the table. So once you are querying the table through using all these syntax from the SQL editor, then you can be seeing it. You have the capacity to see them as they are working, have the functionality to see, for you to see what you are, the outcome of what you are querying.
Okay.
So there's visualization. Actually, there's visualization. You can see what you are doing. So if you insert data, you can check to see if the table, the information you inserted is there. So like my SQL, you can navigate directly and see all the table you created, but you cannot, some of them you can't just create them directly from, you can only use SQL to manage them, some of them, some database I worked like some of the my SQL, I work directly on the database without SQL. But you need to be a developer to be able to do that, not just because doing that you can delete an important information. You can delete an important information. You need to know what you are doing before you can work in a database without that. But I can do some of those, though I'm not a guru in database engineering, like coding, so that, but I can still do some work there.
Okay.
So the answer to your question is that while you are using SQL editor, you can be querying and be getting the results. You can see, visualize what you are doing, which we are going to see it very soon.
Okay.
Yeah. So
thank you very much.
Yeah, no worries. This is not a theoretical, it's something we'll do practical. So as we are doing it, you see it practical as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Joseph Ogochukwu.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
My question is similar to Mr. Kuka's question. My question is, does it mean that it's duty of a data analyst to manage a database, or
It's
we are
not-
there to extract information?
It is, as a data analyst, you can do a lot of things. The major thing you as a data analyst is to retrieve information. But it's good to know, because what by all these things is data engineering. Are you getting me? Both inserting data, modifying data, doing a lot of things involves data. It's not just only analytics. But it's good to master everything. It depends on what privilege that are going to be given to you. Some organization, you will not have any privilege to insert any record in their data. All they want to is to retrieve data they have there and analyze it. So with that you see, when we talk about privilege, do you remember them?
Yes.
During that area of privilege, let me scroll it. You see here from command, this grant and revoke. From this area of privilege, they give you the rights or the privilege they want you to have. But the word SQL here, SQL is not only for data analysts to use. SQL is a tool. A data analyst can use it. A data engineer can use it as well. A data scientist. You see, when we are talking about, these are various roles that do exist. Let's go back and see where we talk about, about some people. You see here, let me show you here. It's a data-centric. Okay, here, and I'll highlight it. SQL is one of the top skills required in data-centric roles. You see, data-centric. It didn't say data analyst alone. You say data analyst, data scientist, and business intelligence. So that business intelligence and data analyst are the same, but data scientist here covers data engineering as well. So meaning that it's not only data analysis and it's not only data analyst that can use SQL. You know, so you're looking at this grant and revoke. It's not the duty of data analysts to give. So meaning that this data SQL, a data governance manager can use this as well. Whoever is in charge of this data governance, determine or administrator, database administrator, is yes, the best one is database administrator. So database administrator can use this to grant access and revoke access of those that can access data within the database. So that is not a data. So the data analyst depends on creating a table. If they give you the rights to create a table, but in most cases, it's the data scientist or data engineer that creates table for all these and decide the kind of record that goes in. They don't give anybody power to, you can see somebody here can drop a database. You know what it means to delete a database of a company. For instance, now you come to, let's say, Microsoft. You have the power to delete a database in a Microsoft. Who are you? So this means that this is a high level operation for somebody to drop a table, create a table in an organization. The person be high profile. Maybe if you are a senior data analyst or a data engineer with this privilege to do all this. So it means you are database developer. You can call it data engineer or a database developer. You have the right to do some of all these things. Most of all these things, you have the right to do all those things. So data, SQL is not only for data analysts. It's one of the tools data analysts use to do their work, because where the data analyst comes in is when you are trying to retrieve information, kind of select from within this manipulation. You're selecting, retrieve data from a table. So, and if you, during there, you find out these are part of insert, is part of data cleaning, or update is part of data cleaning, or delete, but you need to get full permission before you can. Any of these commands you want to use in a database, you must get what we call grants. They must have access to use some of it. So they can restrict you alone to only what you can maybe select from. You find out that you might not be able to update, you might not be able to insert, So in a situation like this, you select, and when you select such tables or things, you can come out and start maybe working on them in, maybe you select them and export them into Power BI, where you are going to start working, cleaning, or into Excel table, Excel sheet, or spreadsheet, where you work on maybe you start cleaning, doing all sorts of things. It depends on the rights given to you. This is where they grant and revoke. So they don't play with these two keywords, grant and revoke. And who does this is a very high profile person, database administrator of the company. So I don't know if I've thrown more light to your question.
Yes. I understand it. Thank you.
Okay. Ephraim.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
I can hear you, Ephraim.
Can you hear me?
Sure.
Can you hear me? Okay. You have first mentioned that will be downloading light server
Yes,
for the
SQLite.
manipulation or querying light. Also, I want to know, are there any differences between SQLite and MySQL? The server.
MySQL, okay, the basic difference is that MySQL requires a server, a hosted server. Are you getting it? For you to operate that. So if you want to work within MySQL, you need a server, a hosted server. Maybe look at all these hosts like SiteGround or cloud hosting. You need a server to host. But MySQL is a lightweight serverless database. Are you getting it? So
Yes,
this
I'm
you
listening.
can, serverless means that it doesn't require that kind of server, hosted server. Your laptop can become a server. SQL can turn your laptop into a server and you start working. So that's why we need it. Yeah, so it's a lightweight, but it's good, it's enough for everything we want to learn. So we are using that. What if you download it on your laptop or your system, is going to work. But you cannot download MySQL on you need a proper server to host it before you can get it running. Are you clear now? So the other one requires a host, while the MySQLite, a lightweight, is we call it serverless database. Serverless means that you don't need any hosted server to run it. You can download it on your laptop and it will be working. Can you hear me, Ephraim?
Yes, I understand you.
Okay.
I understand you. But I understand.
Yeah, but what? Ephraim? Okay. All right, we're trying to, I don't know what happened, but I think I've responded to the Ephraim's question.
Hello?
Yes,
Hello, sir.
I can hear you, I can see here.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, Ephraim, we can hear you. Okay, I think Ephraim is having technical challenges. So,
Can you
okay,
hear me, sir?
we can hear you.
What I'm saying, my SQL as well can be downloaded in the laptop or PC, right? I just want to know the differences, but you say this one is lighter, it can be hosted on a laptop, while the other one is heavier in terms of hosting. It need
Yeah,
an external server.
we have so many relational database. Why we are using SQLite because we don't need a server to host it. We don't need any kind of server, and that's why we call it serverless database. So you can download it on your laptop and it start working. But others you need some hosting for it to work.
All right, sir. Okay, I read it.
So that is the difference. If you understand what hosting, you know what hosting means.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
I can hear you, sir. But both of them have a free version, right?
Yeah, the SQLite is free. Nobody is asking you to. It's free. So you don't need to pay. It's an open source. Are you getting it?
Yes, sir. I'm getting it.
So, and even some of all these things, they are free. Even SQL, even MySQL. But where you are going to host it is not going to be free. So it means that it's no longer free. But most of the technologies we use, most of them are open source technologies. Open source means that it's free. But it can be free, but the environment you want to use it is not free. And this is where we start spending money in IT. You know, like all this code we are using, we have libraries for all this code. All these libraries are free. You don't pay anything to access the library. Like PHP is a code language. You have JavaScript. They're all programming languages. These are libraries. They have library where all these codes where you can just, but where you want to use so many of them, when after building, you have to pay. So there's a lot of free technologies out there. And that's why you can see somebody from nowhere, from nobody to somebody, if you are developing in IT. Because there's a lot of free technologies you can use to build all these things we are seeing, we are using, softwares. They all, where you build all of them, are free environments. But to get the knowledge and do all those, that is where the problem, because you have to pay a lot of money, just like you are paying a lot of money now to learn this SQL. After learning it, you find out that even if you pay to become a developer, when you become a developer, you find out that most of the environment where you are going to be working to develop the mobile phone, mobile application is free environment. You are not paying anything except your internet usage you are paying for. But you have paid for it. By the time you learn it, you paid a lot of money to get there. Are you getting it?
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
I'm with you, sir.
Okay. Thank you everyone for your patience. And like I said, we are ending it here for tonight. We've laid a very good foundation on this SQL. So from here, we can go on and install our serverless database, where it's actually server, but the serverless database is just a nickname because it doesn't require hosted environment. You can nest it anywhere and it start working. It's a very powerful tool, you know. So by tomorrow we are going to get it, and with that we have to start all these things we are talking. We have to start seeing it, how we can use create to create a table, create a database and create a table. And yeah, and like Joseph asked, it's not only data analysts that use SQL. SQL is a very powerful, where even data scientists, data engineers, administrators can use it as well, not only data analysts. So thank you for joining, and yeah, we stop tonight, and I will see you tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Yeah.